Have you ever felt like you have this insatiable curiosity for life? If so, I want to welcome you to the Brunson Experience, a show about nothing in particular, but everything all at once. Join me on my journey to understand the world, ponder the mysteries, and learn from the greats. Meditation is not just a woo-woo practice that allows people to levitate, even though levitation is one of my favorite benefits. I've been doing two things very consistently for several years now: daily exercise and meditation. And over time, I found super surprising benefits from each of these. But the big question we're going to be answering today is really, which one is more important? So full disclosure, I'm not sure what the answer is for you, but I'll share some findings as well as some of the crazy benefits I never saw coming. I'll share what I consider the metric of meaning in my life and how meditation kind of fixes that. I'll talk about best practices and ways to get more out of meditation. And lastly, we're going to do a breakdown of all of my morning routine and evening routine activities and look at which ones have the most direct impact on the quality of my life. For most of my life, I really deeply believed that happiness was the main measure of success in my life. I think of chasing happiness similar to trying to find a romantic partner who's going to be the source of all your fulfillment. It's not realistic, and often the attempt of it leaves us worse off than before. I've heard someone say that happiness is a terrible goal but a wonderful side effect, and I agree with that profoundly. Now, why on earth am I talking about this, and what does that have to do with meditation? All day, every day, marketing tells us that if we just buy a certain product, then our kids will love us. If we just get this new car, then we're going to be less lonely. If we don't have a romantic interest in our life, we just have to buy better clothes or look a certain way. And so those things tend to manipulate the way we see things, and they don't actually get us happiness. They just give us a Band-Aid solution for whatever emotions we're not dealing with. So meditation for me is how we separate these complex emotions and deal with them in real time. So here's an example. In my own life, I'm single, and so with that comes a natural interest in finding a romantic partner. Now, if I were to listen to social media and all the marketing that I see, I would believe all I need is a nicer car, more money, better clothes, and a bigger house. And it would tell me that if I could find a girlfriend, all my problems would just go away in a second. And that's just fundamentally not true. And the worst part about it is that as I continue trying to buy stuff or trying to buy away my emotions or do these, frankly, unhealthy behaviors, it actually makes it harder for me to find a romantic partner. And the worst part is that all it does is makes me more needy and more desperate. And the more I show up with that kind of energy, the harder it will be to find someone who I want to spend my life with. So this is what meditation does for me. It helps me snap out of that state of neediness. I get to stare down my actual internal emotions, which are governing a lot of my negative behaviors and associations. And when I do that, I just feel calm and peace. I'm 10 times more engaged. I'm a better listener. I'm a better friend. I give off an aura of care and love as opposed to an aura of neediness and competitiveness and jealousy. So overall, the quality of my life goes up significantly when I'm in that healthy state. And I don't have to buy anything. Now, before you guys think this is just some crazy bash on capitalism, I'm a huge fan of people buying cool things. I'm a huge fan of buying nice cars and fancy clothes and all the cool stuff. I just want to make sure that when I buy those things, it's not because I'm trying to buy away my own insecurities. So this is why I meditate every single day. I recognize that life is so much more meaningful if I spend my time doing activities that are powerful and fulfilling. If I'm like a rabid animal chasing, fighting, and scratching and trying to feel safe or loved, I'll ultimately be a very lonely and sad person. Maybe have a giant bank account, but no friendships and relationships to share that with. Now, I hope I've at least persuaded you that there might be some value in trying to get more healthy headspace in your life. Let's talk about the mechanics of it. So everyone has different ways they meditate. There's no correct answer to this, I'm convinced, but I can share with you some of the things that work well for me. And then, of course, let's go compare that to my other morning routines and find out how they stack up. I think a big misconception about meditation is people think that it's just, let's not think about anything, right? I just have to clear my mind and have no thoughts coming in at all, and that's really not the case. My overarching goal is to switch my mind from thinking mode into feeling mode. So rather than letting thoughts just dance across the stage in my brain, I'm focusing on how I feel. So specifically, I listen to some music. I plug in my noise-canceling headphones, I take 10 slow, deep breaths, and just try to relax my body. And then I focus on every part of my body one at a time and try to feel the weight of the air around it. And what that does, it shifts me from a thinking mode into a feeling mode. Now, I think the assumption is, oh, like you just stop thinking about stuff. No, thoughts are always coming into my mind. You don't get mad at yourself. You just watch it like a cloud in the sky, just float past you. You observe it, and then you gently pull yourself right back to a place where you're just feeling again. I do this for about 10 or 15 minutes. And usually within that time, I get to a pretty good state where I feel connected. And when that happens, it's funny because I'll give myself, I guess, permission to think again. And more importantly, to feel internally. And it's crazy which emotions just come to the surface. Things that I hadn't really thought about. I'll have something that happened earlier that day where I was on a phone call and that pit in the stomach that happens. And you've forgotten about it, but it's still like those emotions are still churning inside you. And so it's cool. I'll have that happen. The emotions will rise to the surface and I'm able to just deal with them in real time and go, okay, what am I feeling? Now, again, I'm not trying to control those emotions. I'm not trying to get rid of them or banish them. I'm just observing them. And this will feel very counterintuitive because your thought is, no, those are bad emotions. I have to get rid of them. And inside the world of meditation, there is no good or bad emotions. There's just emotions. And if you want them to not control you, you just have to observe them. Give them space to show up on the stage, let them do their act, and then they'll leave. If you try to repress them or bottle them up, they just get stronger. So I do that. I let the emotions come up. I let all the things that I feel or all the things that might be motivating me in negative ways, let those bubble up to the surface. They dissipate just by me observing them, and they're gone. Once I feel like I've cleared out that emotional closet, I end the meditation and I go about my day. Now, I think of meditation a lot like cleaning your room. It's not my favorite part of the day, but it's just maintenance. It's just something you have to do on a daily basis just to keep your life in order. And similar to cleaning a room, emotions can build up like laundry or anything else. If you try to skip and do it maybe only once a month, you can probably do that, but you just have a whole bunch to do. Whereas if you do a little bit every single day, you're able to just clear things out in real time. I'd say one of my most important tips for anybody that's trying to get into meditation, it's okay to suck at it. I'm a big believer in really crappy gym sessions. Sometimes you go to the gym and you just crush it for 2 hours straight. Other times you show up for 10 minutes, you go warm up, and for some reason it's just not working. But you showed up, and I think there's a victory there. I would say don't worry, and don't be mad, especially if for 20 minutes straight your mind just refuses to calm down and these thoughts keep popping up and you never get into the zone. That's okay. That's what you needed that day. Show up the next day, do it again. And that time just keep trying to pull from thinking to feeling. Okay, so this is the last piece. We're in the home stretch, everybody. What is my routine? What are the most important parts of my routine? And like, how do they stack up compared to each other? So the things that I do in order are first thing in the morning is I cold plunge. Then I go exercise for usually 1 to 2 hours. I journal every day and I meditate in the evening before I go to sleep. I'm not a huge fan of long routines. I know a lot of people do that. It seems to work for them. I used to have a crazy 10-part routine that just took me forever, and I didn't feel like it actually was moving the needle for me. So I got rid of everything that I didn't say, like this is directly, massively improving the quality of my life. The goal of my morning routines is not to do work necessarily. It's just to set myself up so that when I go to work, I'm in the best state that I can be in. And not just work, but in my relationships, in my business, in my creativity, in my ideation. I want to be just pinging. And if I'm not doing that, then I'm showing up to work for 7 hours and just not really getting a lot done. So if I were to rank the things that I think really help me get into that state, the least important, funny enough, is journaling. I do that one actually mostly because it does do some things with helping me reflect on my day and ask myself what I'm feeling. And often emotions will bubble up from that. So I do it right before I meditate, actually, as I just do a quick journal session. It's super short, very quick history, but it allows me maybe 5 years from now, I'll be able to go, oh, what happened that day? And I can start piecing together certain memories by having small little notes. More, I'm doing it for my posterity. The next most important might be surprising to a lot of you, but it's exercise. I know for most of you, exercise is just the bread and butter of like how you become the best version of yourself. And I'm a huge, huge believer, so don't misunderstand. But I'll explain why the other two are maybe a little more important. But exercise is amazing, mostly because of just the hormonal benefits. I think I have higher clarity. My brain seems to work better. Everything seems to just function better. And as amazing as it is, I think cold plunge is even a little better for me than that. Not because of the overall benefits being more significant, but because of the time. The gym takes me, again, 1 or 2 hours, but I get a very similar amount of mental clarity and other things that are cooking within 3 minutes of cold plunging. So if I had to choose between one or the other, I would do cold plunging without question, just because in 3 minutes I get an enormous amount of benefit. And I'm not a morning person. I know some of you guys are, and that's amazing. I usually hate everything for the first 30 minutes of the day. If I cold plunge, that evaporates. If I wake up depressed, which for sometimes like just happens, and I'm like, I just do not want to do anything today. If I cold plunge for 3 minutes, it evaporates. So my thoughts on that, and if you guys want to hear more about how I do my cold plunging, or I even built my own cold plunge and it's pretty easy to do, I'd be happy to make another video on that. Just let me know in the comments. All right, so last thing on my list, as you might have guessed, meditation. Truthfully, my meditation is really hit or miss. Some days I get absolutely nothing out of it. Other days I've got tears pouring down with gratitude. I'm really feeling things. It's just really hit or miss. But I think the point is the everyday is where the power is. Giving myself just even 10 to 20 minutes just to let myself not be in fight or flight mode is really powerful. And there's a whole lot of science that I'm not even touching into that I've studied on. But fundamentally, that is the problem, is that we're always in fight or flight mode. And meditation just for a second pulls us out of that and lets our brain just relax. So again, meditation is powerful because it just allows you to be present. Meditation practices are really simple. Don't overthink it. Also, be very patient with yourself and meditate. There is really no wrong way to do it. You could do 1,000 different things and you'll get a lot of the same results. Lastly, find your own routine, but be very cognizant of which things are actually moving the needle. I do not believe that you can copy and paste anyone's morning routine or evening routine. You got to find what really is the gaps in your own life experience and then fill those in your own way. If you like this video, please subscribe and share it with friends, and we'll see you on the next one.
Thank you so much for listening to the podcast. As always, I'm not running ads, so the best thing you can do to show thank you, if you got any kind of value out of this at all, please leave a review and share it with your friends. We'll see you on the next episode.